I've got to start this with a little story that most of us who own a yard can relate to. You see a cheap budget zero-turn mower on a weekend deal, you think you're getting a steal, you bring it home. And then you realize the deck just can't handle a thick patch of clover and the engine sputters the first time you try to mow a hill. That regret is why I always pause before clicking buy now. The question I keep hearing on forums is whether spending a little more upfront actually saves you from that headache. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. In this video I'm digging into the Ariens Zenith 60, a 60-inch zero-turn that rides on a 23.5 horsepower Kawasaki V-Twin engine, and trying to figure out if it truly feels like the smarter buy for serious homeowners. First, let's talk about the kind of yard where you start to wonder if a cheap mower will ever cut it. I'm looking at a typical suburban lawn, a round acre, with a mix of flat sections, a few gentle slopes, and occasional patches of thick, sod-like grass near the flower beds. In that scenario you need a mower that can keep a steady pace without bogging down, and you need a deck that can handle the thicker growth without leaving brown strips. The Ariens Zenith 60 is built around a single-cylinder, 726 cubic centimeters Kawasaki FX730 engine that pushes 23.5 horsepower to the wheels. That's a lot more torque than you'll find on most entry-level zero-turns, and it translates directly into the ability to handle those tougher spots without stalling. In practice, when I took the machine out on a Saturday morning with the grass a little over 2 inches, the engine stayed smooth and the deck kept a consistent speed, even when I turned sharply at the end of the driveway. The key takeaway? It feels like a mower that won't make you constantly shift gears or crawl forward on a hill. Now, let's get into the practical strengths that really matter once you've got it in your driveway. The biggest win is the width. A 60-inch deck means you're cutting approximately 30% fewer passes compared to a standard 42-inch mower. That alone reduces fatigue on longer mowing days, especially if you have a larger lot or a lot of trees to navigate around. The deck itself is all steel, which adds a bit of weight but gives you the confidence that the blades will stay level under load. In a side-by-side test with a popular 42-inch competitor, the Zenith kept the cut height more even across the width, which is a subtle difference most people won't notice until they step back and see the uniform green carpet. A second practical plus is the steering. Ariens designed the Zenith with a dual-lever, hydraulic steering system that feels more like steering a small tractor than a garden scooter. When you're on a slope, you can make a tight turn without wrestling the wheels, and the steering remains responsive even at full throttle. I tried a figure 8 at about 10 miles per hour, and the machine held its line without wobble. That control feels important if you have a yard that includes a sloped driveway or a steep hill section, something cheap zero-turns often struggle with because they lack the hydraulic power to keep the wheels synchronized. Another area where the Zenith shines is its durability under heavy use. The Kawasaki engine is known in the small engine world for longevity, and the fact that this mower uses it in a zero-turn configuration means the drivetrain is built to handle higher loads. I ran the mower for a full season, mowing roughly 12 hours of grass, and never heard the kind of whining or clunking that often signals we're in cheaper models. The engine oil didn't need to be changed more often than the owner's manual suggested, and the deck never warped or showed any signs of stress after cutting through a patch of dandelion that was taller than the deck height. Let's be honest, there are practical weaknesses too, and they're the ones that will make you think twice before committing. The first is weight. The Zenith 60 sits on a chassis that weighs about 1,200 pounds, which is a lot heavier than a typical 42-inch rider mower. That means you need a solid, level surface to back it up onto for maintenance, and it can be a challenge to move it onto a trailer if you need to transport it. In my experience, even with the built-in lift lever, getting the mower onto a small pickup bed required a few extra hands and some careful balancing. If you live in an apartment with a tight storage space, that weight and size could be a real blocker. Second, the deck height adjustment is a bit more involved than you might expect. The Zenith uses a hydraulic lift system that is precise, but it requires you to engage the lift lever, adjust the valve, and then wait for the hydraulic fluid to settle before you get an accurate read. For most homeowners, that isn't a big deal, but if you're looking for a mower where you can make a quick height,